Have you ever heard a story so strange, so chilling, that it defies all logic? Tonight, we're diving into a case that investigators themselves labeled physically impossible. This is the story of the man who walked into the dark and never returned. Our story begins on a cold, quiet night. A man leaves his home for reasons unknown. He walks down the empty street, his footsteps echoing in the silence. The last time anyone saw him, he was turning into a narrow, pitch-black alley, a shortcut he often took. But this time, it would be his final path. Nearby, a security camera captured this last moment. We see him hesitate for just a second at the mouth of the alley before stepping into the suffocating darkness. And then, the footage cuts out. It doesn't just stop, it freezes on the last frame of him, 1 foot forward, as if something or someone intentionally interrupted the signal at that exact moment. The camera feed came back online minutes later, but the alley was empty. He was gone. When police arrived, the scene was eerily clean. They combed every inch of that narrow passage. There were no footprints other than his leading in. There were no signs of a struggle, no scuff marks on the walls, no dropped items, no evidence of any kind. It was as if the ground itself had just swallowed him whole. How can a person simply vanish from a dead-end alley with no trace? The mystery deepened when a resident living nearby came forward. They had a small outdoor microphone set up, just for fun, to record the sounds of the city at night. When investigators reviewed the audio from the time of the disappearance, they heard it. At the precise second the man vanished from the camera's view, the microphone picked up a faint, chilling whisper. The words were indecipherable, like static, but it sounded ancient, inhuman. The sound lasted for less than a second, and then there was only silence. Just a few feet into the alley, officers made a baffling discovery. It was his phone, lying face up on the ground. The screen was on, and the flashlight app was active, its beam cutting a weak circle into the oppressive dark. It was as if he had turned it on to see something just ahead of him, something that was waiting in the shadows. But the phone had no fingerprints on it besides his own, and its location data simply ended at that spot. Investigators were completely stumped. They had no motive. Was it a kidnapping? A robbery? There was no ransom demand, and his wallet was still in his pocket when he left home. They had no suspects. The alley was a dead end on one side and monitored on the other. No one was seen entering or leaving. They had no witnesses other than the silent camera and the strange whisper. After weeks of dead ends, the lead investigator was quoted off the record, saying, "It's like he walked through a door that wasn't there." The case was officially deemed physically impossible. His word of the strange disappearance spread. Local residents started sharing their own unnerving stories. Several people, on different nights over the past year, claimed to have seen a tall, shadowy figure standing in that very same alley. It was always described the same way, unnaturally tall, thin, and completely featureless. It never moved. It just stood there, in the exact spot where the man had vanished, like a statue carved from night itself. Were these just ghost stories? Or had people been witnessing the very thing that was waiting for him? Months turned into a year. The police had no choice but to close the active investigation. The case file, thick with useless reports and dead-end leads, was stamped with a single haunting word: unexplainable. It became a piece of local folklore, a cautionary tale about taking shortcuts through the dark. But the story doesn't quite end there. There's one final, creepy twist. About 2 weeks after the case was officially closed, a teenager was walking past the alley late at night. As he passed the entrance, he distinctly heard 2 footsteps behind him, coming from inside the alley. The sound of shoes crunching softly on gravel. He spun around, his heart pounding in his chest, expecting to see someone. But there was nothing. The alley was empty, silent, and dark. It was as if someone had taken 2 steps out, and then simply ceased to exist. Some mysteries are never solved. They just linger in the shadows, reminding us that there are things in this world that we may never understand. What do you think happened in that alley? Let me know your theories in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this journey into the unexplained, be sure to subscribe for more. Stay safe.